Welcome to Stick Like Glue Radio, the only podcast dedicated to helping you create an everlasting bond with your customers so they stay longer, spend more, and refer more. Marketing and business building expert Jim Palmer, known internationally as the Newsletter Guru, is a serial entrepreneur, author, speaker, and coach to other entrepreneurs. Jim is the host of Newsletter Guru TV, a weekly web TV show featuring Jim's unique brand of smart marketing and business building advice. Check it out today at www.newsletterguru.tv. Please welcome your host of Stick Like Glue Radio, Jim Palmer.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to Stick Like Glue Radio, the only podcast dedicated to helping you create an everlasting bond with your customers so they stay longer, spend more, and refer more, and those are all great things in your business. I am your host, Jim Palmer. I'm committed to helping you build a more profitable business faster. I am so doggone excited about this week's show because my special guest is a great friend of mine and truly one of the most aggressive and savvy marketers I know, Jason Silverman. And let me just share a little bit about Jason. He is the founder and CEO of Powerful Words Character Development. It is the #1 character education system for after-school, kind of for the whole after-school activity world, which includes martial arts, dance, cheer gyms, gymnastics schools, and a lot more. He's also the co-founder of AllStarCheerSites.com and Dance Sites Done Right. And these are all firms to help develop the dance and cheer industries. Jason himself is a martial arts master instructor, a marketing expert, he's a coach, and he's also a very accomplished information marketer. Most importantly, as I always like to say, on the personal side, he's married to his best friend, like me, which is cool, and he has 2 awesome kids, Holly and Noah, and a fantastic dog named Casey Cole. So, Jason, how you doing today?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me, Jim.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know, so everybody knows, I was on your program just last week, so we go for months on end without speaking except through Facebook, and next thing you know, we're chatting it up all over the place.
I love it.
You know, I really like and admire what you've done with your business, Jason. You know, we met probably, I think, in 2006, and we just really connected. I think we're in a very similar place in our business and share obviously a lot of the same values and things like that. So it's been a fun ride for 7 years now.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, I want to pay you a compliment. You know, when somebody asks me, I'm known as a massive implementer, somebody who creates a ton of content, gets a lot of stuff done. And somebody asked me once in a mastermind group if I could name 5 other people who would be in a similar role. Your name is one of those 5. And because, I mean, you're always creating. You're welcome. You're doing a ton of stuff online and just creating a lot of value. Next thing, every time I turn around, you're launching a new program. So it's really cool because, you know, if you're standing still, man, you're going backwards in this world, you know.
Absolutely. Green and growing or brown and dying.
So I know that you speak a great deal about the value of building a systematized business. And, you know, so like me, you have a home office and, you know, your wife, Dr. Robin Silverman's out doing a lot of speaking and being on TV all the time, but you're actually running several different businesses. And to do that, I mean, you totally have to get the importance of systemization and things like that. So what exactly is a systematized business?
Great question. So, you know, one of the things I talk about in most of my presentations, I always will define a system, and I really think of it as, you know, just save yourself time, effort, and money, and sanity. Systems are actually very simple. They're very simple blueprints on how to do everything in your business. Now, we all have systems in our business. Whether or not they're documented and whether or not they're actually good, you know, is a completely different conversation. But, you know, what I found is when I started getting busier and busier and busier, to have to figure out how to do something every single time, there just wasn't time for it, and the quality started to sink. So what I found was I really couldn't manage every single task. However, I could manage a number of different systems. And I have to step back a second because, you know, I'd love to say, gosh, I'm so brilliant. I figured this all out for myself. I spent 4 years at the eMyth Mastery Academy with Michael Gerber and his staff, and they really taught me 99.999% of everything I've learned. I'll take the final thousandth to experience. But we really broke it down on how do we systemize and how do we make it so that everything we do is both consistent, the quality is great every single time, it's on time, it's every time, it's better than expected by our clients. And that way I'm also able to delegate many of these tasks because they're all broken down. I have checklists for absolutely everything I do in my business. And that would probably be the number one takeaway. So when somebody's thinking about what a system is, in your mind, think of a checklist. So we started this by running my martial arts school. At the time, I ran a large martial arts and personal development center in Massachusetts, and gosh, I think I did the initial systems listing in about 3 days. I looked around and I carried a little notebook with me, and every single thing I did, I wrote down. And then I went back over the next couple of years and broke down exactly how I did it and exactly what the results should be. And then that way, when I brought new staff aboard, I simply gave them that checklist and said, here you go. These are the 8 things you need to do. And lo and behold, everything got done.
That's awesome. You said a couple big things there, tasks versus systems. So, some things you're just task-driven, but systems actually include all the tasks that are part of that. So it really is a mindset to be more systems-driven than task-driven. The other thing I think is really important, Jason, I talk about this a lot, is there are 2 reasons I think that you want to have systems and procedures in place. Number one, to make your job easier now because, you have to be able to let go. But the other reason systems and procedures are important is for the cash out. And, people as young as yourself, you're not thinking of retirement, but I am. And, when you go to sell your business, if you're going to get the highest price possible so you can just have a completely worry-free retirement, people that are going to pay you the most amount of money are going to buy 2 things. They're going to buy your customer list and therefore cash flow, and they're also going to buy a business that as soon as you walk out that door and they walk in, they can run it without you being there. And so if everything's in your head, if you're still the chief cook and bottle washer of your business, you've got to put in systems into place. Does that make sense?
Well, it is, and it's funny you say that because I did sell that business. I sold that martial arts academy, and quite honestly, what they bought was my systems manual.
There you go.
I mean, because I didn't own the real estate. Yeah, they bought my client list, but as we know, anytime a business is in transition, there is going to be some sort of loss. However, what they truly bought was, this is how we do it here, and this is what makes us successful. And we actually gave them the roadmap to success.
That's awesome.
So,
can you give some examples, Jason, of the businesses or types of businesses that are kind of systematized or systems-driven, or is it every business?
Sure. Well, I mean, it should be everybody, but as you and I both know, that's not the case. If you think about a franchise, that's truly what a systematized business is really all about. If you take a look at any of the franchises you're thinking of, and let's not talk about quality here for a second, but if we're talking about McDonald's, I guarantee you a McDonald's hamburger tastes the same in New Jersey, where I live, as it does in Arizona, because it's prepared the exact same way with the exact same ingredients, the exact same steps. That checklist is followed. No different. If we're looking at a Mercedes, it's regardless of which plant it's assembled in, it's assembled the exact same way. The service for that is done and provided the exact same way. So, a lot of times we think of franchise prototyped or systematized businesses as being these big corporate entities. And what I want to say is it doesn't have to be that way. For many of my clients are very small business owners. And what I've found is many of them were recreating the wheel every single time they walked into their business, which didn't allow for growth. It didn't allow them to have the opportunity to focus on the strategic development of their business because they're so busy doing it. The minute they started freeing themselves of figuring out how to do it every single day, all of a sudden they could focus on their strategic development, and it's made a world of difference for them.
That's awesome. You know, and it all really sounds great for big corporate types of businesses, but, I mean, this all works for small business as well, even entrepreneurial, even businesses that work out of the home, obviously, as we're talking about right now.
Well, and it does. I mean, let's say we have a small business owner. I mean, many of my coaching clients, my mastermind members, you know, they're not coming from IBM and Fidelity, and they're small entrepreneurs. Now, that being the case, I still believe they can systematize, and it may be something as easy as when do you delegate yourself to open your email, read your email, respond to your email? Is there a system on that? Is there a script you use, or your phone messages, or how about your new client welcome system? I mean, that's something that we always found, and that you and I actually spoke about on your show last week, the importance of what do you do to bring somebody into your business and have them stay, hopefully forever. Again, that can be checklisted, and it should be checklisted. That way every single client gets that same amazing level of client care and a wonderful customer experience. Because as you and I discussed last week, it's so much less expensive to keep and retain than it is to find new.
Yeah. Why would it be beneficial, Jason, for a small business owner to invest the time and effort to build a system instead of kind of market and grow their business? You know, especially with people who are very new, it's all, you know, revenue driven. Everything is focused on just getting another sale, revenue. I mean, when does it make sense to actually spend time building these systems?
Realistically, it makes sense to do it before you open your business, which is kind of counterintuitive because you're trying to figure out, while you're building your business, what needs to be systematized. However, as soon as you possibly can, the minute you systematize something, you can take it out of your backpack that you're lugging with you every single day. So I don't care if you have no sales or 3 annual sales or 3 million annual sales. Start now. And it might be something as simple as I'm going to create one system per week or per month, something that I can then take my name off of and hand to somebody else. The nice part about systematizing your role is that you can fire yourself whenever you want. Once you know exactly how you do it and create the standards and the desired results for that particular system, it is so easy to find somebody who isn't you, because that's the biggest complaint I hear from every coaching client I have says, well, I'm never going to be able to find anybody just like me. Well, of course not. There's only one you. However, what I always found was after I broke something down into a checklist and made it very clear about what I wanted to happen from the system, more often than not, my staff became better at doing that thing than I ever was. And that was always a kick in the pants to me, because I'm like, I thought I was the only one who could do that.
Yeah, isn't that fun when you let go of something, and even to 90%, maybe even sometimes 95%, it gets done just as well as if you were doing it yourself. Now you free up all this time, which is a pretty cool thing. So we're going to pause here for a very brief timeout, but on the other side of this message, I want to ask Jason Silverman if there's an easy way to get this whole process started. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
As a marketing coach or small business consultant, you know that the fastest way to help your clients increase their profits is by getting more repeat business and more referrals from their current customers. You also know that the best way for your clients to develop stronger, healthier, and more profitable relationships with their customers is with a monthly customer newsletter. That's right, a hard copy, printed, and mailed monthly newsletter. Trouble is, you can recommend your clients use a newsletter, but they're just too busy to do it themselves, and hiring someone can cost hundreds, if not thousands per month, and in the end, it just doesn't get done. Now, instead of simply recommending that your clients use a customer newsletter, you can provide them with an amazing done-for-you newsletter program. The No Hassle Newsletter System is a complete, done-for-you, profit-boosting solution for your customers and clients. Every month, your clients get a great newsletter that their customers actually look forward to and enjoy reading, and that not only keeps their business top of mind, it makes you a marketing hero. The No Hassle Newsletter Master Reseller Program is a complete turnkey newsletter system that solves your client's biggest need, and it also adds a lucrative new revenue stream for your business. Become a master reseller today at www.nohasslenewsletters.com. That's www.nohasslenewsletters.com.
And we are back. Let's get right back to my interview with my good friend Jason Silverman. Jason, is there an easy way to get this process started? You mentioned early on with your karate studio that you carried a notebook around and just started listing everything. I mean, what are the first steps that people in my audience can do to kind of achieve the same type of freedom goal from getting away from all these tasks?
Got it. Well, there are a couple things. Number one, that was the easiest way to do it. Quite honestly, I would go get a little notebook, keep it in your pad, keep it in your back pocket, and for about a week, walk through your business, and before you do any task, just write it down what it is. Now, number one, you're also going to find out by doing this how much time you waste during the day. I'll also have you write at this point how many times you check Facebook and your email and all sorts of other stuff. But write down exactly what you're doing. The second phase would be how long does it take you to do it? The third phase, you wind up writing down exactly what you did. Now, I kind of cheated a little bit on this, and by cheating, I mean I just took a little shortcut. What I wound up doing was after I knew exactly what systems I needed, I had somebody stand behind me with a camcorder. I guess
wow.
At this point, it would just be a cell phone. But somebody stood behind me with a camera and videotaped me doing the system. And then I sent it over to my virtual assistant at that point, who was in the Philippines, and they transcribed everything for me and then put it into a checklist form.
Awesome.
So, you know, what we tried to do when we started getting really aggressive with it was we were trying to create at least 2 systems per week to completion. So think of it this way. Today I'm going to create the system for cleaning the bathroom. You know, all right, walk in, open the door. Okay, turn right, turn the light on. Okay, cleaning supplies are located in the closet. Open the closet. Take out the, whatever, spray bottle. 3 squirts, wipe. Clean the mirror, clean the toilet, make sure there's paper. Empty the trash can. Spray air freshener. Close the door. Put everything away. Close the door. That is a system. Now, for us, as silly as that sounds, we cleaned the bathrooms every hour on the hour at my school. So it was immaculate in there because I knew from speaking to parents when parents would walk into my school to think about enrolling their child, the dads would look at the training floor and the moms would look in the bathroom.
That's true.
I knew it had to be spotless and clean and look like a day spa in there. So those are the kind of systems. But again, the easiest way for your folks to do it is figure out what systems you need. Second off, if you can shortcut it by videotaping it, we also found that we kept the videos of every single system up on our membership side of our website. The only people who had access to that particular area was my staff. So when a new member came aboard, okay, you're going to be starting, so I need you to watch these 10 videos today. Okay, this is how you clean the bathroom. This is how you greet a new member. Okay, this is how you input somebody's information into our CRM. However it was, originally when I brought staff on, I was always irritated that they weren't doing exactly what I wanted them to do. And I realized that it was my fault. I wasn't teaching them the right way. I was making it easy for them to learn. So this really allowed us the opportunity to cut that learning curve, by 90%.
Earlier, Jason, I referenced, another reason for systems is the retirement part of it, or checking out. And, I learned a pretty important lesson. I'm trying to think, gosh, it's now 4 years ago, and a good friend of mine, Eric Paul, passed away. And in the last month or so, I was really active with it in his business, and then he actually asked me to help him, or help his wife kind of shut his business down when, we knew he was going to pass. And what happened with that is it was such a mess. Eric, I think, was a classic entrepreneur, brilliant marketer, gone from one thing to the other, but neither Susan or I could make heads or tails out of what was going on, what was ordered. I mean, it was a mess, to be honest with you. And I learned at that point, and I vowed that, if God forbid anything happens to me, I don't want Stephanie to go through that. And I did something similar to what you said. Maybe not as much detail as 3 squirts of the bottle, but I actually wrote down every single thing that happened in my business. I introduced every single VA to every other VA, described what they do, when they did it, because, I'm kind of the centerpiece and things kind of move and flow from one to the other, but a lot of people didn't know who each other were. And today we've carried that so far forward that we actually have I have a weekly call with everybody, but we have a monthly call where everybody's on a group call and we're discussing things. So it makes a lot of sense, not only from the current, managing your business today, but also, like I say, God forbid something happens to you. It can't be all in your head.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things when I got married, my wife and I had this long conversation, what if something terrible happens? And I do have a file and a printout that I update every month that says, just in case Jason gets hit by a bus, that, what does my wife need to take care of immediately? So even little things like that, if you're able to just take the headache away from people and yourself, it does make your life dramatically easier.
Yeah. What are some of the big mistakes you think people make when they're starting to build a systematized business?
They mistake the fact that every single minute of their time needs to be ROI based. And, as entrepreneurs, we're all focused on getting, acquiring new clients, retaining clients, and all of a sudden the systems work and the systems development work falls to the wayside. So if you can restructure it in your mind that building a systemized business actually does have a huge ROI base, especially if you're talking about reselling later, or just the fact that the amount of time saved in training new staff, the amount of time saved should catastrophe strike, it actually does have a positive return on your investment. So that's one of the big mistakes. The other one is starting it and just stopping, or not providing a reason. It's great to give your staff a number of checklists, but if you don't share with them the reason that you have a system and having them be totally invested in it, it's just going to be like more work for them. So I always say share in it. Share the value of what you're doing so that your staff can look at this and say, hey, this is really great. It's actually freeing me up so that I can do an even better job.
Yeah, I learned so many years ago in my bike shop days, as I refer to them, the natural tendency for an entrepreneur is to keep their cards, close to the vest. You don't want to share too much personal stuff. But when I was challenged with growing that business, and also paid, by the way, on a percentage of the profits, I set up this bonus system that said, look, here's our sales now. Here's where we want to be. And I'm not looking for a 5% increase. Anybody can do that. So I'm looking for like a 20% increase. And by the way, because the nature, where we live in the Northeast, the business is seasonal. So, like May, June, July, August are huge months. You kind of die and suck wind in October, November, and a little bit in Christmas, and suck wind again in January, February. But so I structured our annual goal, broke it down by month, and then I shared every day and at the end of the week, here we are towards our goal. And so everybody could see it, and everybody was paid based on hitting that goal. And that did a couple things. It let them know exactly where you were instead of just kind of feeling the whip crack behind you. But it also created a really good atmosphere of kind of self-policing each other. So if somebody was dropping the ball and not, really stepping up and doing a good job on the sales floor, other people were calling them on it because we all had a part in it. And it was just a real early lesson about getting people involved. You got to share what's going on in your business, and also the whys, which I think is kind of the message you just shared there.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's got their own why, so you can't let somebody else do that for you. I think that's important.
Yeah. So we're down about maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Is there any resources that you've used other than going to school for 4 years with Michael Gerber? Is there any other resources that you've learned, either tools, software, books, things like that?
Well, here's what I would absolutely suggest. First off, everybody who even remotely is interested in building that systematized business should be looking at reading, rereading, dog-earing, and reading again E-Myth Revisited. Mm-hmm. I just feel it's a no-brainer. It really is. It's a quick, easy read and very, very valuable. I would also argue that Gerber's book, The E-Myth Mastery, spectacular. Quite honestly, the $18,000 or $20,000 I invested in that program, many of the same tools that I was provided during that course are included in that E-Myth Mastery book. So for $30 or whatever they get you for on Amazon is well worth it. Well worth it. And, you know, I believe that you need somebody to hold you accountable as you start building this. It really is, because, you know, getting the nitty-gritty done takes some work. It really does. The value is enormous, but you definitely need somebody to kind of hold your hand and make sure that, all right, you are consistently doing this so that your business becomes something more than just you.
Awesome. Hey, Jason, how can people connect with you? I mean, you're a wealth of information. I know you share some stuff on Facebook and things like that. You have a podcast now. Like, what's a good place for people to go and connect with you and learn more of your brilliance?
Thank you. The best way really to reach me is on my website, which is www.jasonm, as in Mike Silverman, jasonmsilverman.com. It's pretty much a jumping off point to any of my stuff. So feel free to reach out there. You're able to message me, and I'm more than happy to help anybody who's looking for some help.
Awesome. Hey, great interview, Jason. Thanks so much for taking the time to be on our program.
The pleasure was mine. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, folks, that wraps up this very special episode of Stick Like Glue Radio with Jason Silverman. Stick Like Glue Radio is the only podcast dedicated to helping you create an everlasting bond with your customers so they stay longer, spend more, and refer more. I'm your host, Jim Palmer, and I'm committed to helping you build a more profitable business faster. Watch for another great episode of Stick Like Glue Radio next week, and until then, keep taking action, keep moving forward, and don't ever, ever, ever give up. Now go out there and do something nice for somebody today. Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to Stick Like Glue Radio, the only podcast dedicated to helping you create an everlasting bond with your customers so they stay longer, spend more, and refer more. Stick Like Glue Radio features Jim Palmer's unique brand of smart marketing and business building advice for action-oriented entrepreneurs. To make sure you don't miss a single profit-boosting show, subscribe to this podcast at www.getjimpalmer.com. If you know other entrepreneurs looking for the fastest way to higher profits in their business, please tell them about the Stick Like Glue Radio podcast. Now go and implement what you've learned and boost your profits. See you next week for more Stick Like Glue Radio.